Today, Bitcoin and Ether erased gains from Friday after Federal Chair Powell hinted at upcoming rate cuts. Crypto exchange Gemini launches an XRP credit card, and we take a deep dive into how Wyoming has evolved into a crypto hub and the recent moves to help catapult the state to the next level. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Crypto prices are in the red to kick off the week. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin dropped nearly 2% to $112,186 after falling to the $110,000 level over the weekend, its lowest level since July 10th. Now, Ether, it is pulling back after hitting a fresh record over the weekend. As of noon, the price of the second largest cryptocurrency fell under 4% to $4,600 after rising to a fresh record yesterday of $4,954.81. Now, this came after hitting an earlier all-time high on Friday for the first time since 2021. And XRP, meanwhile, dipped below $3. Both Bitcoin and Ether have erased their gains from Friday when crypto assets took off with the broader market after Federal Chair Powell hinted at upcoming rate cuts and investors returned to risk-on mode. Ether has been leading the crypto market for several weeks thanks to regulatory tailwinds, a boom in interest in tokenization, and buying in bulk by a new cohort of corporate Ether accumulators like Bitmine and SharpLink. Now, that shift has helped support ETH, which has held on to the $4,000 level this month after unsuccessfully testing the resistance mark a handful of times since 2021. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Gemini announced this morning that the crypto exchange, founded by the Winklevoss twins, is launching an XRP credit card with Ripple. The card allows customers to earn up to 4% back in XRP on fuel, EV charging, and rideshare purchases, 3% on dining, 2% on groceries, and 1% on other transactions. Now, Gemini said it's also teaming up with some other merchants to offer up to 10% back on eligible purchases for all Gemini credit card holders. In a statement, Tyler Winklevoss said, quote, "By introducing a special XRP edition of the Gemini credit card, we're giving customers in the XRP army new ways to earn XRP and express their passion, loyalty, and excitement." Gemini is also expanding access to Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD. The firm says the token is now available as a base currency for all spot trading pairs for U.S. users, allowing traders to move between that stablecoin and other assets on the platform without extra conversion steps and fees. The announcement comes as the firm pursues an IPO in the U.S. The company confidentially filed for an IPO back in June. Finally, Grayscale is moving forward with plans to convert its Avalanche Trust into a spot ETF, and a move aimed at giving institutional investors access beyond Bitcoin and Ether on a traditional brokerage. Now, the asset manager filed an S1 with the SEC Friday, which shows that Coinbase is the custodian here, and BNY Mellon would provide administration and accounting services to the trust. Grayscale launched its Avalanche Trust last August and currently manages under $15 million in assets. Now, this is the latest move from asset managers moving into spot altcoin ETFs, as many have applications pending with the SEC for XRP, Solana, and Litecoin ETFs, just to name a few. All right, for our main story, Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spent last week in Jackson Hole covering the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium. While there, she explored how the cowboy state has been evolving into a crypto hub.
Wyoming is known for picturesque mountains, roaming wildlife, and its cowboys, but the state also wants you to associate Wyoming with crypto businesses. In fact, the state is known for being a pioneer in crypto regulation, with the cowboy state enacting more than 50 crypto-specific laws.
Wyoming was the first state, for example, to pass a special purpose depository institution statute. We have a chancery court, and we've done many creative things. Wyoming also created the LLC, and so we have a long history of being very first in innovation, even in the financial services space.
In TradFi, New York, and to a lesser extent California, are the top states. But in crypto, it has been Wyoming because we got here first. And some of that was I tried to donate appreciated Bitcoin to my undergraduate alma mater in 2017 to fund an endowment for female engineers. And they couldn't accept my Bitcoin because the state had a bad money transmitter law And I grew up here, even though I was in New York for 30 years, and volunteered to come back home to change that law. And one legislator, Tyler Lindholm, grabbed onto me and said, let's do more. What else can we do? What else can we do? And now there have been 8 legislative sessions, and each legislative session there have been at least 4 or 5 bills. So we're up to more than 50 now. It's bipartisan. It's shifted from the original legislators that sponsored it to a whole new group of legislators and then another one. So there's a real commitment in this state.
Our legislation is all around, we want to welcome this industry. Here's what you can do. Providing legal certainty to businesses is crucial. Although Wyoming is a very private state, so it's hard to get this information, we believe about 5,000 companies have domiciled in Wyoming to take advantage of our digital asset laws. Doesn't mean they physically moved, but they've domiciled and set their company up that way.
And now Wyoming is launching its own US dollar-backed stablecoin called the Frontier Stable Token. The token is being deployed on major networks like Avalanche, Polygon, Solana, and Ethereum, and will be available to the public in the coming days. Now, this comes as the U.S. recently passed the Genius Act, giving stablecoins some much-needed rules of the road, and the announcement coincided with the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium put on by SALT.
It's been 2 years in development. It is a public, first time a public entity has ever issued one of these coins. It's particularly important because it is the first dollar-backed, fully reserved stable token issued by a public entity. We want to be able to use it for any legal means. We feel that being issued from a state, it's all public. All of our commission meetings, the ones that we've done over the last 2 years to establish this, have been in the open. The whole effort is open source.
Wyoming is also looking to draw top talent and blockchain-focused businesses. Crypto exchange Kraken, for example, announcing in June that it's moved its headquarters to Cheyenne.
Policy played a big role in that. Alignment, culture, and values played a big role with that, but also the leadership here in the state. Senator Lummis, who chairs the Senate Banking Digital Asset Subcommittee, has been an absolute leader in our space. She's been at the forefront of trying to bring regulatory clarity to the United States, but also has been a big supporter of all the initiatives Wyoming's doing at the state level to really lead the states in innovating and progressing good crypto policy.
I'm over the moon about that. The whole purpose for Wyoming to become and embed in its statutes friendliness for innovation in financial services is to attract businesses and to attract jobs. So our young, very educated people can stay in the state and find jobs. In addition, there's a mining component to Bitcoin and a staking component to other digital assets that Wyoming has a friendly atmosphere for. So it is jobs oriented. And it's innovation oriented, and our state is friendly to innovation.
But not everyone in the Cowboy State is totally on board with the inflow of crypto entrepreneurs. Several locals in Jackson we spoke with expressed concerns about the rising cost of living in Wyoming as more people move to the state. And at the same time, salaries for those tech jobs are sliding. According to the 2025 U.S. Tech Salaries Report by Design Rush, Wyoming saw a more than 6.5% drop in inflation-adjusted tech wages over the last decade. That's the steepest drop of any state in the country.
We want to turn that statistic around. The Biden administration's whole approach to opposing fossil fuels was hugely detrimental to Wyoming. Probably the most detrimental to Wyoming and Alaska because we produce a lot of oil, gas, and coal. We export 12 times more energy than we produce. So Wyoming is the #1 exporter of its raw materials. It's time for us to create the electricity and the consumption of the electricity here in Wyoming. So we're doing it for the digital asset space, for the artificial intelligence space, and that we become the place where the energy necessary to have a robust AI competition with China takes place. And that includes artificial intelligence and digital assets.
Cheyenne in particular, because it's at the intersection of two interstates, has very low latency. And Microsoft has 3 data centers there. Meta has 1. There are more coming because power is relatively cheap and it's got low latency. And so most of the tech industry that was here was in the data center field. What's happened is so much automation has happened in that space. But what's also fun is because that infrastructure is here, the Bitcoin miners have come in as well. So I view what's happening in crypto as being independent really of what's happening in the data center space. But as you know, and you've reported, that Bitcoin mining and AI, with all the insatiable power demand and data center need, is converging. And Wyoming is absolutely going to be right at the intersection of that because we produce so much more power than we consume in the state of Wyoming. We would love to have uses for that power inside the state. And the data center industry is, of course, where that's going to be. And because of that infrastructure being in Cheyenne, just look for continued growth, just massive growth.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.